So welcome to a new series where I'm going to be giving you tips for backpacking every single European country. And the first video is going to be on Malta. So if you clicked on this one, you're probably going to be travelling there or interested in travelling there. So I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about visiting this forgotten about South Mediterranean island. Let's go. So I visited during July 2021, which is of course still in COVID. However, this did not ruin my experience one bit. It is still my favourite country to backpack in Europe. So I went for 5 days during this time, which was just about enough. I could have stayed a bit longer. However, honestly, Malta is such a decent place to visit and backpack. So you're going to fly into Valletta Airport, which is the only airport in the island, I believe. It's a Ryanair airport, so you can get cheap flights there. I actually paid a £5 there and £5 back, which for a 4-hour flight from Manchester is just ridiculous value. I think the cup of tea on the flight actually costs more than the flight itself. However, I wouldn't pay more than maybe 60 quid because it is Ryanair, and if you go out of season you can get it much lower than that. If you do go out of season, the weather all around is actually pretty good. In summer it reaches about 40 degrees, which for some is unbearable. For me it was really warm. So if you're flying into Valletta Airport, you're probably going to want to get the bus to where you're staying, which costs €2, and you have to pay in cash, so bring cash with you. I made the mistake a couple of times of relying on card, and most buses, well, they do accept it, but they're really dodgy card machines, so just pay in cash. So I stayed in St Julian's, which is kind of like the backpacking destination where everybody stays. It is kind of the nightclub area, bar area, and you can easily reach other day trips from there pretty easily by bus. I stayed in Marco Polo hostel, which cost me about €20 a night, which had a great rooftop bar where you could see the entirety of St Julian's and over to Valletta, the capital. And as well, it was near the bus stop, which basically serves the entire island. I think there's 3 bus routes, so you can't really go too far wrong. In terms of if you want to get an Uber from the airport, it's actually a Bolt, which costs mainly about in the range of €15, I believe. And you can pretty much get anywhere on the island within half an hour to an hour, so it's pretty small. In terms of day trips, so I spent 5 days in Malta and I did 3 day trips, which is quite a lot, but there's not actually that much to do in St Julian's. It's mainly just a really good base if you want to go out at night and meet people. It's got a great social atmosphere. So the first day trip I want to talk about is to Gozo, which is the North Island of Malta. It has 2 islands, one larger island and one smaller island to the north, which is easily reachable by bus and then ferry. I think it cost about €10 on the ferry and was about half an hour. So you arrive in the little port and you can get a Bolt pretty much anywhere all over the island. There were loads. And our first stop was Ramla Bay, which had this beautiful little cove that you could climb up to, which had sweeping views over the golden beaches. We went swimming in the sea there, and also, like I say, this little hike. So we've come to Ramla Bay in Gozo. What do you think?
Amazing!
The citadel in the centre, I think of the only town on the island you can see from all around. And then we went to visit this little paddling area, this rock pool, which was cool. Sadly, the arch collapsed a few years ago, so it doesn't have kind of the same vibe as it used to, but really good place to swim still. You have to go around this little cove and you find this rock pool area, which was a really cool swim. Go!
Let's go, let's go, let's go! Let's go, let's go! Wait, I go outside.
Oh. I see what you mean. Oh, oh, it's so cold. This is actually so nice.
Yeah, it's actually really nice because there are no waves and it's...
Yeah, and it's like really deep. We then went to the Tarchenk cliffs for sunset, which again, really insane. It was such a big drop off. So we've got to the actual cliff part, and it's insane how you can actually see the sun without being blinded by it or anything. It's like a perfect sphere, isn't it? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty weird. I didn't expect it to be like this, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Everything about Malta is about the ocean and the views with the rocks. And so I'd really recommend that as a day trip from Malta. Second day trip I'd recommend is to the Blue Grotto, which again was about a half an hour boat ride. I don't think you can actually get there on a bus, so definitely take a boat. So you pay about €10 and the local fishermen take you around to the Blue Grotto, which is this massive arch cliff cave system. Which was cool. I've not seen anything much like that before, and that's definitely a day out. You can go swimming around the corner from there, and also there are loads of shops and restaurants basically on this cliff edge, so that was a really good day out. And the other day trip I want to talk about is to Golden Bay, which is a beautiful golden beach where you can do snorkeling because there's different fish in the sea. And also there aren't actually that many sandy beaches in Malta, so there's that and the Blue Lagoon, that's what it's called, that's the main thing. However, I didn't go to the Blue Lagoon, which really just shows how much there is to do in Malta. The Blue Lagoon, if you type it in, that is the whitest beaches you'll ever see, and it's in a gap between Malta and Gozo, so the ferry stops there on the way if you're wanting to go there. I'd definitely recommend it. I just ran out of time. The other day trip is to Valletta, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site actually. It's the capital city, but you would never know. It's a tiny little cute quaint town by the sea with lovely picturesque views over the central cathedral. I'd really recommend going there. Obviously it's connected easily by bus. It's a central bus station. Worth a few hours, definitely not that much to see, but you've kind of got to go to the capital and it's so close to St Julian's. The other day trip I didn't do was to the Popeye village, which is this pop-up town near the coast on the north of the island. I just, again, ran out of time, but I heard good reviews about it. I also believe it was a film set, but I can't remember which film it was from. But yeah, if you can go there, easily got to by bus again. And I'd probably recommend it if you were there about 10 days. So other things to know just before you visit Malta, it's English speaking, so you have no communication issues with the local people. They're all very friendly and willing to help you out. And a lot of people even hitchhike around the island because it's so small and there's just very little crime generally. It also uses the euro, so you haven't got to worry about changing currency. And warm weather all year round. So if you can avoid the summer months, that would probably be ideal because it's hot. And go in kind of spring, autumn season, I imagine would be really nice. So I hope that's told you all you need to know about backpacking in Malta. Obviously a tiny island, so not that much to cover, but 100% my favourite country to backpack in Europe after almost visiting them all. If you could subscribe, I'm on my journey to 1,000. I'm not stopping till I get to 1,000, and I will see you in the next backpacking tips video.